Everyone thinks they're the main character until they step onto a different chessboard where nobody really cares about their storyline. And the reason life feels confusing sometimes is because all of the boards we're on don't follow the same rules. You could be front and center in one room and be a backup dancer in the next. And that switch, that reality check, is what humbles people. Because life isn't just one big board, it's a rotation. And every time you step onto a new one, you have to learn the rules if you don't want to get played. Hey, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of Everything is Onions, where we peel back all of the onions of life one layer at a time. Deep conversations, raw truths, and no tears. Well, mostly. I'm your new favorite host, Coco. And to all my returning subscribers, thank you guys so much. You know, I love y'all down. To all my new listeners, welcome. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss any layer we peel back. Our onion of the day is why you can feel like a main character in one space and completely invisible in another. Because not every chessboard follows the same rules, simply. So let's get into the first peel. Life would be a lot easier if we only had one board to play on, one set of rules, one version of ourselves that worked everywhere. But unfortunately, that's not how life works. That's not how this goes. We're juggling different boards every day: work, dating, family, friendships, social spaces, group chats, the fucking internet, all of it. And every one of these boards runs on a different logic. The work board cares about credentials and hierarchy. The dating board cares about desirability and access. The family board cares about who you were when you were 12, not who you are now. The friend board cares about roles: the planner, the peacemaker, the class clown, the dependable one, the mom. And social media, that board is pure performance, okay? It's not even chess, it's charades at this point. So you might walk into one environment and feel like the queen of the board. Every move you make holds weight. People listen when you talk. Your presence actually shifts a room. And then you step onto another board and suddenly you're on, overlooked, underestimated, and moved around based on other people's decisions. The key to understanding that your value isn't disappearing is just translated differently depending on the board you're standing on at that time. And half the frustration that we feel in adulthood comes from trying to carry one board's rules to another. You can't date using workplace strategies. You can't navigate your family using your friend group logic. You definitely can't expect the people online to treat you the way that your friends do in real life. Different boards, different rules. And if you don't adjust, you're just going to end up getting knocked off the board quick. Okay. You got to adjust. You got to learn some balance. You have to learn how to be useful on all the boards you're on and be able to take a back seat when it's needed. Now, let's peel into the messy middle because here's the part that people don't like to admit. Most of the confusion in our lives comes from thinking we're being perceived in the same way in every room we walk into. Plain and simple. And we're just not even close. You might be well respected at work, but ignored in your dating life. You might be the dependable one in your friend group, but the overlooked one in your family. You might feel confident in social spaces, but you second guess yourself the minute you're around certain people. You could be the coldest 10 piece in your hometown and a 5 or 6 in a big city. You could be him at work and a peon with your homeboys. That shift alone will throw your whole identity off if you don't understand what's happening, if you don't know what the fuck is going on. And again, this is where folks mess up. They assume that their status travels with them. They think just because they're impressive in one context, everyone else is going to treat them the same way. They think that the applause in one room guarantees applause in the next. And when they don't get that treatment, they take it personal instead of realizing the environment operates on a different logic. We're on a different chessboard, boo. Some people struggle, genuinely struggle, because they believe that they should be treated the same everywhere. and that's not how the cookie crumbles. And others struggle because they shrink in places where they're actually more powerful than they think they are. Either way, the disconnect comes from misreading the environment, not understanding what's valued, who holds influence, or what role you fall into once you walk through the door. And that's the real tension of adulthood, learning that your identity isn't fixed across every space. You don't get to decide how you are perceived. Unfortunately, the room gets to decide. What you get to decide is how you adjust, how you show up, and whether you're playing a role you chose or one that got assigned to you because you weren't paying attention. It's very simple. This is where the chessboard metaphor really comes in because you understand that every environment creates a different version of you. You realize the smartest thing you can do is figure out what piece you actually are on what board in each space, not what you wish you were. Not what piece you think you deserve to be, what piece you function as based on how that environment operates. Some of y'all are queens at work because you're competent, organized, and people rely on you. But in your dating life, you operate like a pawn because you don't recognize your leverage. Some men are kings in their friend groups, respected, loud, listened to, but at home, their partner treats them like a rook, like a bitch. Useful, but predictable. Some of us are bishops in our family, the wise one, the one everybody calls on, but socially, we're knights. We move differently, we shine differently, we don't fit into the obvious roles. And none of these roles are permanent. None of them define your worth, but they do define how people move around you and how you actually need to move if you want to stop feeling blindsided or confused. Because when you believe you're the queen in a room where people see you as a pawn, you're not strategizing, you're miscalculating. And the opposite is true too. When you think that you're insignificant in a space where you actually have the influence, you start to shrink for no reason. Both mindsets rob you of clarity. The real mastery is being able to walk into any environment and immediately clock the power structure. Who has the influence? Who doesn't? Who's valued here? How do people move? Where do I naturally fit in? And what role am I being pushed into? Once you learn how to read a room, once you can read that, you stop taking everything personal. You stop feeling confused. You stop performing for the wrong audience. And psychologically, this whole thing makes sense because human beings don't walk around with one identity. We are layered. We have multiple layers. Your work self is not your family self, and neither is your dating self. Psychologists call it self concept fluidity, meaning who you are shifts based on the expectations, the power structures, and the social cues around you. You are literally a different version of yourself depending on what room you're in. Where people get thrown off is that the brain loves consistency. It wants to believe I'm the same everywhere, so I should be treated the same everywhere. But socially, humans do not function like that. Every environment has its own hierarchy, and your brain automatically adjusts. That's why you can feel confident in one space and suddenly uneasy or uncomfortable in another. Your mind is recalibrating based on what it thinks this moment requires of you right now. There's also something called status perception bias. It's the tendency to overestimate or underestimate your place in a group. Some people assume that they're at the top because they're used to being deferred to. Others assume that they're at the bottom because they've been dismissed in the past. They've been overlooked. Neither is always accurate, and both shape your behavior. It affects your tone, your posture, your willingness to speak, and your ability to advocate for yourself. You're responding to your belief about your position, not the reality. And then there's the social comparison, the instant ranking we all do when we enter a room. Your brain scans for, again, who's confident, who's charming, who's assertive, who has the polarizing personality, who's dismissive, who's mean, who feels approachable. It happens so fast and it influences whether you expand or pull back, whether you take an initiative or whether you hang back a little bit, whether you voice your thoughts and opinions or you just wait your turn. So when people say, I don't know why I feel small around certain folks, or I don't know why I feel bolder in this group, but not this one, it's because your mind is constantly analyzing the environment and adjusting your role. It's not a flaw, it's how humans interpret social settings. But if you don't understand that process, you start blaming yourself instead of recognizing that your psychology is responding to the signals in the room. That is what it means to read the room. That's why learning to read the room socially and psychologically matters. Because once you understand why you shift, you can direct the shift instead of being pushed into roles you never chose for yourself. Reading the room is a fucking timeless skill. It's something that everybody needs to know. Unfortunately, everybody does not have that skill. Okay? Now let's get into our last segment. No tears, just truths. Because the truth is this: your position in one space does not guarantee your position in another. And that's not a setback. That's a part of being a full layered human being. You are not meant to hold the same weight everywhere. You're not. It's not going to happen. Some rooms are meant to sharpen you. Some rooms are meant to humble you. Some rooms are meant to stretch you. Some rooms are meant to get you out of your comfort zone. And some rooms are to remind you of what you've outgrown. Your role shifting doesn't mean you're losing anything. It means that you're learning where your strengths are, where your strengths actually matter. The real clarity comes from accepting that your influence is contextual. You might be powerful professionally, but soft spoken in your family. That's okay. You might be magnetic socially, but uncertain in romance. That's okay. You might feel average in one setting and exceptional in another. That is okay. None of those versions cancel out the others. They all exist because different environments pull out different parts of you. When you stop expecting every space to recognize you the same way, you free yourself from disappointment. You stop walking into rooms waiting for validation from others. You stop forcing interactions that just don't fit. You stop shrinking yourself where you should be stepping forward. You should be speaking up for yourself. The goal isn't to dominate in every environment. The goal is to understand which environments align with the version of you that's actually authentic, the one that feels steady and grounded and capable. That's the board where you build. That's the board where you grow. That's the board that you water. And once you understand how you shift and why you shift, you stop feeling confused by the way that people respond to you. You start choosing your spaces intentionally, not based on ego, but based on alignment. You start recognizing where you're valued instead of begging for recognition in places that were never designed to see you clearly. That's the whole point. Not to be everything everywhere, but to be the right thing in the right place. Again, learn to give yourself grace. Learn to be okay with adjusting and shifting and being comfortable in different places. It's okay. Give yourself some grace. This has been another episode of Everything is Onions. Thank you for tuning in and listening to me. I'm your favorite host with the most, Coco, just a girl with a mic and a million thoughts. And remember, your power shows up differently depending on the board. Stand where your presence actually shifts something. If this episode hit home, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what boards you're maneuvering on and how they make you feel. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Love you. Bye.